Sir, when I was working on, going on the entire thing what you have done, and I saw your work, what I found very interesting was a lot of things you have done. You have written right from the biggest fraud in the IT sector. You wrote on the Kingfisher. You also did Namo story. You also did at the same time the Battle of Telangana, then Saffron Trident. All this thing you had worked on. Even right now, when we were talking in the afternoon, you did speak about Cafe Coffee Day and Jet Airways you are working on. Then you wrote one book on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. I have a question related to that, and your new book is also you're working on. So these are on this particular backdrop. I have one very particular question: how do you choose a subject for any book as you write? Reason being, every topic whatsoever you have written so far, every title whatsoever you have written so far, every time I have found that probably this is what I wanted to know, and this happened almost in every of your book. So kindly let us know, sir. How do you come zero down on a subject?
I think often I don't zero on subject, the publisher does.
Okay,
The publishers are very short of good authors, and once they have identified a good author, they keep coming to you with some topics.
right,
I
sir.
don't write on them. But I think that phase is coming to an end. From now onwards, I will write exactly what I want. Subhash Chandra Bose was, of course, my choice,
Certainly.
and subject came in very what should I say? Very coincidentally. I was standing at a lit fest in Hyderabad and was speaking to a friend of mine
Okay.
who also doubles up as a publisher. And I said, I think the time is right that we should write on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. He said, why? So I told him that from what I can make out
Sir.
at that time, that Subhash Chandra Bose was probably sent to Gulag RP Belovo, and there he died. And his body was buried in that road which Stalin had made from the Gulag to Moscow. I said, this is very, very sad. I said,
True.
we should write a book on that. So that's how my endeavor started. And as I wrote the book, then a bigger publisher came to me and said, please sell the book to me because I will love this book.
Right,
So the
sir.
book was Rupa. So the book was sold to them. They published it. But while on the subject of Netaji, I addressed meetings on Netaji in various places and also at academic discussions. For instance, at the Indian Council for Historical Research in Delhi and the Asiatic Society in Calcutta.
Right, sir.
I was also increasing my knowledge. And now, of course, I think what happened to Subhash Chandra Bose is quite different from what I thought initially I had.
Probably.
And yeah, if you read my book, then you'll see that I said that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose had escaped from the Soviet Union, had come walking all the way to UP, United Uttar Pradesh, and there he lived as a hermit.
With the name of Gumnami Baba, is it that what you are referring, sir?
Yeah, and he lived as a hermit, and then he died at the age of 88. Today, I don't believe that story. Why? Because I think I've come to the true story of Gumnami Baba. I think there was a gentleman called B.N. Malik, Bholanath Malik. He was a Indian Police Service officer. He was the director of IB. He was director of IB for 20 long years and reported directly to Jawaharlal Nehru. I think Nehru was very uncertain about what had happened to Netaji, and he was under the impression that there was a possibility that Subhash Chandra Bose could have been released from the jail or could be released from the jail. Then they thought that he will come to India, and when he comes to India, then he will make a stake for the leadership of the country. And Bholanath Malik, who belongs to Calcutta, he, for due to some other reason, used to hate Subhash Chandra Bose. I think this was a great idea of Bholanath Malik. And let us set up some dummy in Subhash Chandra Bose. So when Subhash Chandra Bose turns up, we'll produce the dummies, and the dummies will say, we are the Subhash Chandra Bose. And not only did he set up one dummy, but 2-3 dummies.
Oh.
And Gumnami Baba is one of the dummies.
Okay.
So that is my theory, according to the knowledge that I have now.
Right, sir.
तो मैं क्या ये था
Right, right.
But there are a lot of controversies about Subhash Chandra Bose, what had happened.
Very true,
So
very true.
let me start from the very beginning. There is a lot of controversy now about how Subhash Chandra Bose disappeared from India. We all know that as the World War was coming to an end,
Sir,
he escaped to Russia. Now the question will be, how did he escape to Russia? The general belief was, and I also believe this, that he escaped by a plane which is supposed to have crashed in the Taipei. So my theory was that it never crashed. It was basically shown to have crashed. He got off from the plane at a point and then he walked into the Soviet Union. But now I'm getting information from fairly reliable sources that Subhash Chandra Bose could have disappeared from Singapore on a submarine.
okay.
Let me tell you that there were many submarines in that area. They belong to the Germans. The Germans, as you know, had lost in the World War II in May 1945.
Right.
But we are talking about August 1945. After they lost, their ships, which were there in located in Penang in Malaysia and in the same areas Singapore, were reporting to the Japanese. And it is using one of those submarines that Subhash Chandra Bose disappeared from Singapore. And from what we believe, he showed up at a place called Vladivostok, which was in the Soviet Union.
Okay.
And there he walked into Soviet Union. What happened thereafter is a matter of dispute.
One of the things which is quite disheartening about this entire thing is, so there are no whereabouts by the end. As you said rightly, that there was this air crash was stage managed. Probably this was something a strategy designed just in order to garner some additional time to work upon this Indian National Army and once again come back to India to fight the war. And even when World War II was over, still probably the thoughts was that Subhash Chandra Bose always felt that there should be at least he will fight for his country, and that's why probably you have mentioned about that Red Tag Army coming via Afghanistan to India. Am I right, sir?
Yes, you are correct. That is exactly. Because what had happened was that there were 5 wireless messages from Subhash Chandra Bose, and this is much beyond the time he died. So these messages were probably at the end of 45, and he's supposed to have perished in August 1945.
Right, sir.
These messages were radio cast on shortwave 31.
Right, sir.
And they were picked up by Intelligence Bureau and at the office in Calcutta, which was located in Governor's House, which is now Raj Bhavan. And the recordings were sent to the Prime Minister's office, that is Jawaharlal Nehru's office.
Right.
And from there, they went to National Archives. And we come to know of this because Mr. Modi has decided to
declassify these files.
Yeah, that's how we know.
Right. Sir, in fact, there is a mention which I went through, like you were talking about, one of the officers in the year 1946 who was handed over these classified files where it was categorically mentioned that this is a top secret and not meant for Indian eyes. So would you like to say something about those top secret files, sir? Probably now they are in public domain.
True. These files are located where in 1946, as we know, India was readying itself for freedom. And the Britishers who were serving India were also very keen to go back home because during the whole war period, they had never gone back home. So some crucial positions were given up to the Indians.
Right.
One of the officers was Lieutenant General Sinha, who in subsequent, that time was just Captain Sinha, subsequently became Lieutenant General Sinha, and he became the governor of Rajasthan, governor of
Jammu and Kashmir and Assam.
Yes.
Right, sir.
So he had written an article which I myself read, which appeared in a newspaper called Asian Age, and this article was written very recently, 2015, I think, a few months before he died. And there he says that I went to I was given this office in the military directorate and I went to that office where my predecessor was an Englishman. And since he was in such a great hurry to leave, so he left. And then I opened the file, then I opened the almari and I found some files which had a very strange classification. It said top secret only for not for
Not,
Indian eyes.
not for Indian eyes, correct.
And there he found a lot of information. One of the information he was that there was a plan called Operation Gondola through which the Britishers would be rescued from India. There were 43,000 Britishers in India, I mean, including civilians and all. And that file had made an estimate of which Britisher is living where, how they will be taken away from the country. So all these things were there in those files.
But sir, other than gondola file, there was another file which was primarily about the officers, Indian
Yeah.
officers and Indian soldiers serving the Britishers in army, and probably that was very revealing one because they have classified them into three different categories, sir.
Yeah, they're categorized into three groups. One were perfectly British trained officers who had come into the Indian Army long before and who had been trained in Sandhurst, that is in Great Britain, before the wartime. So they were perfect Pakka officers, and Britishers never expected these officers to
Be disloyal.
be disloyal. The second category was a lot of officers who had been hired between 1934 and 37 or something. And these fellows that had been trained in India, and many of them had a lot of grouses against the British government, especially in terms of pay, loyalty, and all.
Correct. That was related to pay.
Yeah. And the third group of officers is the officers who had been taken into the Indian Army after the war started, because there were a lot of recruitments. And these fellows were found to be perfectly disloyal. The Britishers said, in my estimate, that these chaps at any time could turn their back on us. So it was these officers they were damn scared of, because then you realize that these guys were fully nationalistic and they can do anything.
Probably they were more exposed to this entire freedom movement which was happening around, and probably they had an inclination towards the Indian National Army soldiers or
Yeah,
Indian National Army as well.
Yeah. Indian National Army के soldiers की तो कहानी दूसरी है. As I said, the Indian National Army had attacked India from Burmese soil and come on the top of that northeast India. Halaki, Subhash Chandra Bose himself wanted that these chaps should attack India through Chittagong, which was on the east coast of Bangladesh. So Chittagong is on the mainland. So he thought that if they attack through Chittagong, everybody in the country will know that they're these officers.
Right.
But the Japanese thought that no, they should attack India through northeast, and Subhash Bose had no option but to fall for that, because he was also needed Japanese resources.
True.
And then when those chaps came, unfortunately the British had set up some censorship rules, and in those days TV to hota nahi tha. There are only newspapers, and the newspapers were barred under the censorship law from publishing things what they saw. And northeast part of India was very far from mainland India, so we never knew that Indian National Army was coming there, and they had actually fought few major battles there, and which were actually deciding facts of the World War, because there were two battles. Battle of Imphal, I think, or
Battle of Kohima and Battle of Imphal, sir.
So ये जो बातें थी इनको मालूम नहीं था. These chaps didn't know. So when after the World War, when INA had lost and India had lost, the British made a mistake. They thought, if we now announce to the Indians that your soldiers are disloyal, all the country will rise up against them. So they said, let us try 3 officers of the Indian National Army, whom we have now arrested. Like Bahadur Shah Zafar was tried in the
Red Fort.
So they chose 3 officers, one a Hindu, one a Muslim, one a Sikh, and he wanted to try them. But they were a huge mistake because they didn't realize the moment the stories of INA's fight in the Northeast became public, the country stood up as one man.
True.
There was many a popularity of these officers. A lot of Indian soldiers who were in the army, they started feeling very sheepish that they had done nothing of this sort.
Probably they were on the wrong side of the war.
Of the wrong. So look at so much was their popularity that even the Congress party, led by Jawaharlal Nehru and Asaf Ali, they had to stand up to prevent their prosecution. They represented them in the trials. Similarly, Muslim League में Muhammad Ali Jinnah and company stood up in their trial to save those guys, legally fight for them.
Sir, does that mean, just a question which came to my mind right now, does that mean probably there was a lot of groundwork done by INA and suddenly these two political parties found some place to actually encash the opportunity? Is it getting to in that particular direction as Muslim League or Congress getting into it? Probably are they not opportunistic when it comes to what is being created by INA? They are trying to just standing next to INA and donning those robes of the lawyers.
Yeah,
Is it something they were?
yeah, it is like that only. They became lawyers and wore the robes of a lawyer because they knew that if they have to get the popularity of the country, then they have to stand with the chaps who had fought for the country.
Correct.
So that is how
So,
they wanted to cash in on the popularity of the INA.
correct. And sir, as you said, we were talking about Gondola file, and there was a figure like 43,000 Britishers.
Yeah, correct.
So
Yeah,
and considering the Indian population then, probably
Yeah.
Lots of Indians must be supporting the establishment to conduct their law and order and internal security and the other things.
Yeah. But so all of them started feeling very sheepish. Suppose even as we know from the testimony of one of those prosecuted officers, also Colonel P.K. Sahgal, he was quoted in some book, I think. He said that he himself felt his father had himself told him to show his loyalty to Indians. And only thing which actually made them work for the British was the fact that they had a regular pay and prospect. Whereas INA was like freedom fighters, they had no pay. So it is only for building their career that they have gone to this Indian National Army, the Indian Army. And he said that at that time people were so loyal to the Indians. And there are other facts also. In fact, I think P.K. Sahgal I read, is not mentioned in my book. P.K. Sahgal said how when he was arrested, a lot of this Indian forces came up and said, look, we are for the Indian army and we stand for them. So everybody realized this.
So what was the outcome of the trial? Lieutenant Colonel Shahnawaz Khan, or for that matter, Colonel P.K. Sahgal, Colonel G.S. Dhillon, they were tried. So what was the outcome finally? What did Britishers do with them?
Well, they were punished. They were punished on paper. They were punished and given sentences, but they were pardoned after the trial. In fact, in the trial, they were given punishment. They were supposed to be sent to Kalapani.
Okay.
But they obviously could not be sent to. So the general of the British Indian Army Forces did not implement those things because he knew he can't implement it.
The formation of Indian National Army. So what prompted? What were the circumstances? Because as I know, that right from mid-20s to late 30s, Netaji Bose was a part of a forum where he was also, along with the other freedom fighters, representing one particular forum. Now, what prompted him and in what circumstances did he come out with this idea? And it is not something that is very easy, where gathering people, those who can lay their lives, and when you do not have even arrangements for making payments to them. So how did he pursue all these things? Because this is something totally different approach than that of the other freedom fighters.
Because he realized that India had to be made fit, so therefore he joined joined forces with the Japanese who were there. Therefore, he used that to get out. So
So
the basic thing is that he started collaborating with Japanese, and so Japanese were interested in. So that is what happened. He collaborated with the Japanese so that he would become a powerful leader.
because probably it was totally a very different idea. Because on one hand, we had satyagrahis, we were people those who were talking about non-violence, and people those who were talking about civil disobedience. On the other hand, we had people those who felt like Bhagat Singh. Their way was little different to that of everyone. And when it comes to Subhash Chandra Bose, probably he had a very different ideology. He thought of creating an army to fight.
That is true because whatever we have read in our history books is what has been taught to us.
True.
ये बात सही है. So basically ये बात है. So a lot of these things that you hear, Satyagraha and all these things happened of course, but they were not so prominent.
Correct, correct. In fact, I would like to call, I want you to recall one incident which you already mentioned as such about Lord Clement Attlee,
Hmm.
who was then Prime Minister in India of Great Britain when India got free.
Yeah.
And when he visited India in the year 1956 as a common citizen,
Yes.
and Chief Justice of Calcutta, India, Calcutta, when interrogated with him, sir, please do let us know about that. That is very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they basically said that the Chief Justice of Calcutta High Court was not a politician but a justice. So he inquired of Mr. Governor General who had come, Prime Minister of Great Britain who had come to India, and he asked him, why did you guys give freedom to India? Because the last Indian resistance, the British was the Quit India movement, which finished in 1942. After that, they went away. After that, what happened that you guys left? Was Gandhi responsible for India's freedom? Because that is exactly what we have learned in our history books. The Quit India movement and the movement, these chaps realized that why the Indians were there. So that is the fact of the matter. So I don't think it is true that anyway, jo bhi hai.
And sir, had it been like Quit India movement, had it been that powerful, probably it sustained for 5 years, which probably when we go by the logic of Lord Attlee, we realize that probably 5 years, this kind of movement will not make a sense. As he said, that probably it does not, it was a very heavy, very minimal impact it had.
True.
Another thing, probably you can tell that role of INA into, there was an advancement in the date.
True.
It was thought, India was thought to be given freedom somewhere in the September 1948.
Correct.
And just 2.5 months ago, before August 15th, 1947, suddenly they want to vacate it. What was that which made them to do this hasty decision?
I think it was very clear to the British that they would have to leave India immediately. And they realized that if they left India, if they did not leave India immediately, they'll be under attack. Ragtag Indian forces would attack them. Probably they had also some secret information that Mr. Subhash Bose under a ragtag army was planning to come to India through the northwest. And the fact that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose would come with a ragtag army would make the entire country stand up and welcome him. So therefore, they didn't know what to do. They were in a dizzy, and that is why Mountbatten decided कि let us suo motu decide. जल्दी से चले जाते हैं. In fact, Mr. Mountbatten decided to leave India on 3rd June 1947. On 3rd June 1947, he made the announcement at a press conference in Delhi that on 15th August we are leaving. Whereas it was decided that they'll leave probably in October 1948. So what is the reason that they're leaving India early? So at that time, the Congress Raj was zero. They were doing nothing. So it was very interesting to see what the reactions would be. Mr. Mahatma Gandhi was on Mohan Brat, so he didn't say anything. And the other Congress leaders also kept quiet. They didn't utter a word. So on the Congress Working Committee, of course, met, but they didn't make any great resolution. So they left, and nobody complained, nobody was excited. And Mountbatten said कि 15th August को जाएंगे, which was very difficult because on 3rd June he's saying that we'll leave on 15th August. And they were not just leaving, but they are also going to divide the country.
Correct.
So that is why that horror with partition of India, which happened, was due to this lack of planning. And this lack of planning was due to the fact that the British had to leave India very quickly. They are not ready to leave India, but they had no other option. So that is what I feel.
Sir, is it lack of planning or haste of gaining power?
Whatever you say, these are words only which what you say.
True.
Lack of planning. Or they were hasty to leave also.
Sir, one more thing, like when India got freedom, Netaji was not around. Kind of fierce battle he fought, kind of adversities his soldiers have fought in. And if you look in terms of the casualties, maybe during the war or the aftermath of the war, you will find that almost half of the soldiers died. Out of 60,000, around 26,000 soldiers that died in the process.
True.
And there was nobody, particularly their leader, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, he wasn't there on the scene to see India getting freedom.
True.
We do not know what was the exact date where he passed away. But we definitely know that air crash was a conspiracy and he lived longer than that.
True.
I do want to talk to you about and do want to know from you, sir. Like there was a conspiracy which was again created by Britishers, like when they communicated to USSR that he is our spy or he is our person.
True.
How that entire thing brought Netaji into a situation? Please throw some light on that.
So these Britishers were very smart fellows, and so when Netaji had disappeared and he had not even gone into Soviet Union, their intelligence had predicted that maybe we will tie up with the Russians, with the USSR, and therefore they had decided to ensure that his standing among the Soviet leaders would go down. As you know, Stalin and company knew very little about India. So using their intelligence services, they were able to throw some intelligence into Russia, fabricated intelligence that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is nobody, he is basically our man, etc. And they fabricated some evidence. And don't forget, during World War II, Stalin and Winston Churchill, they were all together. So this must have helped them to ram through that evidence. So when Mr. Bose appeared in the USSR, I think Mr. Stalin had rounds of meetings with his own officers, with his own ministers, trying to figure out what to do with this man. Because they knew a man is coming, and in public maybe he's seen as an Indian representative, but is he an Indian representative or is he a British man coming? So he was thrown into a tizzy. And anyway, the knowledge of Stalin about India was very, very rudimentary. He did not know who was Netaji, he didn't know who was Gandhi, he didn't know who was Nehru, he didn't even know that Sri Lanka, Ceylon was part of India or not. His knowledge was basically very, very poor. And therefore, when your knowledge is very poor, any sort of information can pass through you. And that is what happened. I think in the end, the British used their guile to convince Stalin that, look, he's our man, don't trust. This is what happened.
Probably he went into sort of an oblivion following these kind of the tactics played by the Britishers. Such a leader, iconic leader. Probably when in the last days, I don't know when there was the last day, but probably everybody was just seeing what to do with him. That's what I understood when I was going through the abstracts. I found that Britishers were thinking what to do with him. So were Indians, and so were the Russians.
Yes, that is a fact. So basically, Russians also did not know how to deal with them. The Britishers also know how to deal with them. And Indians, of course, were competitors because people who became the Prime Minister of India, Nehru, were damn mortified of Mr. Netaji. So they didn't know what to do with him. So I don't know what happened to him in that sense. But I'm sure research will be done, and I'm also doing research now. Maybe a year later, I'll have more answers. And the answers could be very strange answers you might get, let me tell you.
Okay.
So यही बात है. But let me tell you that the freedom of India was achieved only because of Indian National Army. Had the Indian National Army not stood there, the British wouldn't have decided to leave India at all, at least in the next 10 years. So Subhash Chandra Bose's role in kicking out the British out of India cannot be underestimated. But all through, it has been the interest of the government of India to downplay him. I grew up in Delhi, and I remember that in government offices there used to be no pictures of Netaji. Maybe the first picture started appearing in 1977 when the Janata government came.
True.
For that, in Delhi, no road was named after him. The first road, Netaji Marg, Subhash Bose Marg, came up in 1967 when the Delhi local elections were won by the Jan Sangh, Bharatiya Jan Sangh. So there was a strange, what should I say, strange thing that everybody would like to hide about him, as if he never existed. And therefore, nothing was told about him. So you will have no knowledge about him. So you had no reason. There was one man those times. So he was. So Netaji के बारे में कुछ उसने निकल के आया ही नहीं.
Right, right.
So Netaji is one area on which we must research further, and with every research you will find more information till we come to the ultimate truth. Maybe the day you come to the ultimate truth, that truth may not matter to us anymore.
Very right.
But one day we must get the truth.
Probably that was an ideological difference because Netaji has also said that probably non-violence is not the way to get the this. He said, "I do respect Gandhi for this, but non-violence alone will not get you the freedom." That's
True,
what
sir.
Netaji has said.
Yes, correct. ऐसे ही उन्होंने बोला था.
One question related to Indian National Army because I think Netaji and his all the unsung heroes. Probably we should talk about the culture what Netaji had created in the army. If you look at the very fragile social fabric of the country, where casteism, religion, languages, and everything comes a lot, probably Netaji had a very different eye view, and probably that he created. Would you like to speak something on that, sir?
Yeah, Netaji, first thing he did about his Indian National Army was to make his regiments not national wise. So they are mixed. In the good old days, the British Indian Army was constructed in such a way that you had Rajput regiments, Jat regiments, Bihar regiment, Madras regiment, etc. So people of the same social fabric were were in the same army. So they ate the same thing and they followed the same culture. But Netaji said that if the country has to be integrated, then we'll have mixed regiments. So Jat will be with a Muslim and a Madrasi will be with a Bihari, etc., etc. So he had mixed regiments. And people will eat from the same kitchen, the same food, because that is one of the causes of major differences in those kitchens in that in the British times when the British army was there. Then they were all the Rajputs were together, all the Jats were together, all the Biharis were together. So they were eating the same food, all the Muslims were together. But Netaji said, no, we'll have mixed regiments, so these fellows will be there, and so they'll eat the same food, etc. As a result of which, they will propagate the same culture of the country. So his regiments were named like that, Nehru, Gandhi, those types. He never had Rajput regiment and Jat regiment and Bihar regiment. That is what he did. It was a far-reaching move, and he was the first officer to think of a women's regiment.
Yeah, that was the point actually. He wanted women to be in the combat zone.
So you have a Rani Ka Jhansi regiment he had.
Yes.
So I think he was far ahead of his times. And
True,
at
true.
that time, nobody was thinking in those terms. And I think if Netaji were in power, the development path that the country would have taken would be far different from what it is. I'm not saying that he'll be a better ruler or not. I'm only saying that the way the country would be run would be totally different and would lead to not like this current time when you have a lot of casteism and communalism, etc. Sort of thing not happen. Probably if he was there also, and this is only a matter of speculation, maybe the partition of India could have also been spared. That I don't know, but that's a matter of conjecture.
Well, that will be hypothetical on our part, but yes, probably it would have averted
True. It would have been.
partition.
Yes.
We can just speculate it, that's all.
Yes, correct.
Right, sir. What I understood out of this entire discussion, that probably Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and his soldiers, those who fought very bravely in the very adverse conditions, and they created an atmosphere, unrest into the the in British Indian Army, where Indian soldiers were there, and those who have started thinking probably they are fighting on the wrong side. And probably, as there are incidences you mentioned about the Royal Navy and Royal Air Force, and then Royal Army Jabalpur, the incidences that you mentioned, probably they made a mention, particularly Jabalpur unit, they had made a mention regarding the INA soldiers and the treatment they received. Probably this entire thing had definitely had an impact in true sense, where Britishers felt that there will be a disloyalty to a great extent with the existing soldiers in their army and their folds.
True.
And probably that was something which really created that unrest, that belief that probably they cannot rule it further. Some other movements were very much there simultaneously, but the biggest impact was given by Netaji and his INA. We are
Correct.
in, and sir, we are in 75th year of independence. I really wish that whatsoever you have been trying to do, we are trying to bring the things in front of the common people. People like us, those who knew very little things about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, with just one idea that I am supposed to interact with you. I know a lot about Netaji, I must say.
Subscribe to Nation Next YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get regular updates from Nation Next. Also like Nation Next Facebook page and follow us on Instagram and Twitter.